Hello, here I am rolling sound and rolling video for a chat, which I haven't done for ages. One of the reasons for that is that I used to record my chats while I was out walking with Lottie in the fields, and poor old Lottie died last year. I mean, she had a good life and quite a long life, and so it was very sad. Um, I guess we're getting to the point now after this length of time that we're more or less used to not having her around, but it's a shame, and we still sometimes fondly look at dogs that are passing by, thinking, "Oh, should we get another one?" Especially if it's a black Labrador, of course. But we'll see. We'll see. Time will tell. But I thought I'd better do a chat. I haven't done one for ages, and just to kind of have a catch up with everybody and let you know what's going on. If you've been kind of following things, you'll know that Lawful Duty is about to come out. It's up for pre-order at the moment, but it actually goes live tomorrow on the 26th of April 2024. So if you haven't pre-ordered it yet, it's a good time to do it because you'll actually get it tomorrow. You get it as soon as it goes live on the stores. So that'll be nice. It feels like it's been a build-up to releasing the book, although it was one of the faster books that I wrote. I only started it at the beginning of November and sort of pushed on for a NaNoWriMo project. And if you don't know what that is, it's National Novel Writing Month, shortened to NaNoWriMo. And quite a lot of people do it every year all around the world. I've never actually really successfully done it before, mainly because it never quite hit the times for what I was doing. So, maybe I was in the middle of editing or I was halfway through a first draft or something. So it didn't really fit, although you can continue a project, I believe. But it seemed in the spirit of it to start with something fresh. So I'd had this idea of doing a crime novel for ages, as some of you will know. And I thought, bite the bullet and we'll just plunge into it. I didn't really have much of an idea. There wasn't a lot of planning went into it, like most of my books, some more than others. More on that later, perhaps. And I launched into it. And when the month was up, I had done the prerequisite 50,000 words, but the story wasn't finished. But I'd built up enough momentum by then to sort of finish the thing before Christmas. I wanted to get it out of the way before Christmas so I could sort of relax a bit. And I just made it by working hard at it. So, it's over 100,000 words. And that's not bad going for me. That's very, very quick. For a lot of people, that would seem very, very quick as well. But it's a pacier book, being a police procedural and a sort of crime-based thriller. It kind of built up a momentum of its own quite quickly as I began to see the new characters and the new settings, and in some ways more straightforward than the cosier Devonshire mysteries. Because they're cosier, I think they become not exactly contrived, but they are slightly in a world of their own. I think the cosier crime books, you don't really want the real world to intrude too much on that kind of thing. People sometimes joke about the Midsummer Murders, don't they? About you wouldn't want to live there because the chances of you being murdered brutally or in some strange way are already quite high. And yeah, you kind of think, well, you wouldn't want Miss Marple to come to tea, would you? Because yeah, she wouldn't be there 5 minutes before somebody was getting bumped off, and it might be you. So you might suddenly find that the butler has poisoned you or something. So yeah, it is a different world. There's a bit of suspension of disbelief, I think, goes into that kind of mystery. And that's the beauty of it. It's the joy of it. It's also one of the challenges as well as a writer, because you're sort of treading a finer line as to what goes in and what doesn't and which way you go. So that's been very interesting. I'll wave a copy of it around as I am doing video as well. So there's Lawful Duty, the paperback. You can see it's a fairly thick book. I'm pleased with it. I'm quite excited about it. I'm excited to get it out into the world and see what people think. Early reviews from beta readers were great, and then taking into account their feedback, and things they felt needed addressing or were errors made the book even better. And then I did several drafts of it, and then it went through an editor as well. And there have been a few review copies go out, and quite a few actually. There was about 30 people requested a review, which was really nice. A review copy, or an ARC as they're sometimes called, from Advanced Reader Copy. And yeah, they hopefully have enjoyed it. I've seen already a few nice 5-star reviews go up on Goodreads. So they're from people who've read an ARC, and somebody has emailed me a really nice review as well that they're going to post up when they are able. So that's really nice to hear. It's always really great when you get that feedback, because you do wonder, you do think, well, will it flop? Will it soar to great heights? Will it just sit somewhere in the middle? As long as people by and large enjoy it, I'm happy. It would be lovely, wouldn't it, to have a huge bestseller and have people come along and say, yeah, actually, we'd like to make this into a film, and we've got this, that, and the other film star who'd like to get into the project, and we're going to turn it into a big screen Oscar-winning thing, or a TV series or something. Apple TV or somebody picked it up and made it into a huge series. That would be fantastic. But who knows? At the moment, so long as you, the audience, as my readers, are happy and entertained, then that's what I'm here for. That's the job that I've set out to do. So I should be, I'm happy if you're happy. Of course, tastes are subjective and not everybody will like everything. I think some people who are fans of the Devonshire Mysteries will really like this because there are perhaps elements in my style and tone that carry across. I don't really go in for too much kind of gore and so on. There is more in this. It's a darker book, but I don't kind of glory in it, and I don't particularly enjoy reading that kind of material or watching that kind of TV show. I think, yeah, crime is horrible, murder's a horrible thing, people are affected by it, but I don't particularly want to revel in it, if that makes sense. I don't want to make a virtue out of something that is kind of a necessity in crime books, is you've got to have a crime. So it wouldn't really be a crime book if you didn't want it. But yeah, that's probably all I can say about that at the moment. I was thinking of doing some readings, but I think I'll maybe try that another day and see how it goes. So that's on its way, and will there be another one? I hope so. I enjoyed it. I've already had some ideas. I did start jotting down an idea or two and started actually, a chapter 1 of another DC Tim Spiller book. I mean, if you don't know, just in case you're not sort of keeping up, Tim Spiller is a detective in the Devonshire Mysteries, which is set in the present day, give or take a bit of time lag because they take me longer to write, possibly some of them especially, than the passage of actual time. So the Devonshire Mysteries have their own slightly different timeline, which is slightly behind the present day. But at any rate, Tim Spiller is a detective sergeant and then a detective inspector in the Devonshire Mysteries. And I like the character, and I enjoy sort of writing in his voice and thinking about his personality and his work and home life and all that. And I've always liked the fact that I've made him not the totally out-and-out maverick, because I think out-and-out mavericks would be an absolute disaster in the police force. I think they would be sacked very quickly because they have, a lot of procedures and stuff to follow. So I thought it'd be nice to have him slightly rebellious and liking to do things his own way. He's kind of his own man in many ways, but he's also kind of lives and breathes the job. And, he likes procedure, and he always tells his sidekick, DC Collins, to follow procedure and do as he's told. But then he then hairs off on some kind of harebrained. Well, not exactly harebrained. When he gets the bit between his teeth and he goes off following leads, and he's even been involved in driving his old Volvo fast through the lanes and so on. So he's quite an interesting character, but he's not sort of the too generic, too stereotypical detective. He has a happy home life, for instance. I thought that was important. He's not an alcoholic. He's not a drug addict. He's not desperately depressed or morbid like some of the Nordic noir things. He's just kind of a normal, regular guy. He's an everyman, really, and he does a job which he takes pride in and works hard at. And I thought it'd be really fun to take him back to starting out. So, Lawful Duty, just wave the book around one more time, is set in 1992 in Exeter, and it begins with Detective Constable, as he is then, Tim Spiller's first day in CID. So it's the first day in plain clothes. In the UK, the detective ranks are kind of parallel. So a detective sergeant is the same kind of rank as a uniformed sergeant. It's not like a sort of a promotional thing. It's a different career path for sure, but it's not like a huge leap to go necessarily from one to the other, which I believe it is kind of a bit of a different thing in the USA, for instance. I'm sure all the states are different. Somebody will probably tell me that I'm getting it wrong, but certainly in crime dramas that I've seen, people say, "Oh, are you going to make detective? Are you going to get a certain badge or whatever?" And really, it's just sort of a different arm of the police force, and going into CID. And a detective constable doesn't outrank a uniformed constable. They are at the same level. So he's done his time in uniform. But CID is where he wants to be. He wants to be investigating and chasing criminals. And there he is, starting on his first day, all full of hope. And he has a fairly basic case to start with. Being new, they sort of fob him off with a missing persons case, which quickly turns into something else. And we have a missing woman, a shadow of corruption, a race against time. There is a really interesting baddie in there, whose surname is Lehman. And people have told me, early readers have said that they really like him. They like that character, which is interesting. I kind of wanted to make him an interesting character. So he is a cold-blooded killer. And the interesting thing in the book is that he is also looking for the missing woman. I don't want to give any spoilers, but so there's kind of a race between the two of them, the good-hearted Spiller and the cold-hearted killer. That rhymed unintentionally. And they're both trying to find the same missing person. So that gives us an interesting sort of scenario. And what will happen? What will happen, indeed. It's quite exciting, I think, quite a decent pace. But meanwhile, just changing gears, I did decide to go back to writing a Devonshire mystery. I have slightly caused problems for myself in that they got longer and longer and more complicated as they went on, pretty much, to the point where the most recent one, A Must Have Murder, took me a long time to write, and it is kind of like two novels sandwiched together. It's so long. I mean, you could actually use it as a murder weapon, the paperback, I think. It's sort of pretty big and heavy. Were you to clout somebody with it, I think they'd know about it. And I think it's a good book. I think it's a good story. But where do you go from there? We've got sort of subplots. We've got new characters coming in. And then the challenge for me becomes, well, where do we go? Do we bring them all back in? Do we keep up with all the romantic subplot elements that happened in there? I like to keep the romantic elements down in the background in the books, because these aren't romance books, and I don't think mystery readers particularly want to hear all that stuff. It just kind of adds an extra bit of salt and pepper to the mix. It's a little it's an extra element to Dan and Alan's character arc that they would just naturally, have relationships, and why not? So those are in there to a small extent, and the some of the new character opportunities there might be explored in this new book, but not so much, I don't think. I think I've really got to try and get Dan and Alan back to basics. So at the moment, I had quite a good idea, and then it kind of fizzled out. And so I rejigged it a bit, took a step back, and went forward with a slightly different idea. And then I kind of had a third idea, which is blending in, but it's at a tricky point where I'm not quite sure who is going to be the victim of the crime and who is going to have done it. Now, I sometimes set this up one way and then I change it later. That's one thing. I've done that quite a bit. In some books, I've changed my mind a couple of times about who was going to actually have done the deed. And that's because I've got to know the characters more. And I do have to go and do a bit of backwards and forwards, checking and changing of things when I do something like that, because it all has to fit and it has to lead up. There's got to be some kind of foreshadowing and some clues that make sense for the readers, because readers want to think, okay, I could have worked that out if I just put that clue together, or they might actually have worked it out and then they can say, great, I knew that when I saw this happen. It's at an odd point, but that's one thing. To change it as you go, but not to kind of know from the outset, is a bit strange, because my first couple of ideas didn't seem interesting enough. They didn't seem complicated enough. If you look at the crime and think, oh yeah, well, I know why that's happened, and I know who's probably done it, then there's no story there. We need something to get our teeth into. So that's where we're at. It is progressing, and it just needs a bit of a brainstorming session. It's partly why I'm doing this, actually. I think I perhaps need to go for a walk. That was one nice thing about the nice walks with Lottie, is I used to chew over the plot and character development and things as I was going along, walking through the fields. And now I could go and do that on my own, I guess, but it doesn't seem as much fun. So perhaps that slowed me down a bit. But the ideas will come, and we'll get there. And something will come out of the end of it, I'm sure, even if it means going back and tearing up some of the stuff that I've done. It'll get there, and then I do hope to do another Devonshire crime thriller. It partly depends on the response to this one as well. If people are buying it and enjoying it and raving about it to all their friends, then that will be great, and it will certainly spur me on to writing some more of those, because they are good fun. It's nice to have a different world to go into. For me, it's just a nice change, a bit of a kind of palate cleanser, if you will, to go and do something else for a bit. But we'll see what happens. It's a slightly odd business in that there isn't a prescribed sort of path for these books to go. I mean, some people do like 20 books in a series. I probably won't do that with the Devonshire Mysteries. I don't think I'll go down the Sherlock Holmes route either and have Dan thrown off a waterfall or anything similar. Though sometimes I kind of think, well, it would be quite an interesting thing to do. But then, no, that's I think Conan Doyle had enough Sherlock Holmes. That's why he did that. And he had to bring him back. Yeah. So, no, I'm not Conan Doyle, and this isn't way back then. And we shall have to see. Hopefully, it will move on and be satisfying and just complicated enough to keep people reading and pacey enough to keep people turning the pages. Apart from that, not much else to report. I'd just like to say a quick thank you to people who beta read the book or got review copies, or thank you in advance if you're going to post up a review, maybe on Goodreads or Amazon or any of the other stores that will allow you to do it, or any place that you can do it where you can share it. It's always nice to have stuff shared on social media if people feel like doing that. That's always great as well. You can always find stuff from my Facebook page, Michael Campling Author, and share it from there. If you're not sure where to go for information, then my site is michaelcampling.com, and Michael Campling is one word. The book can actually be bought from my new online store as well, in ebook and paperback. It is that is called mcamplingbooks.com. That's quite new. The ebooks will get delivered straight away, even though it's pre-order everywhere else. You will get the books delivered by BookFunnel immediately, because it's a privilege of buying it direct from me. It helps to support my writing, because I don't have to give a cut of that to Amazon or Kobo or Nook or App or anything like that. That those funds go apart from a few sort of processing and transaction fees, that kind of thing. You can switch the currency on my new store, so that's good as well. And I'll be putting more and more stuff up there as we go forward. The paperbacks are a print-on-demand service called Book Vault, and they do print in the UK and the USA. I know the print quality in the UK is actually very good. I think the USA one is probably about the same as Amazon, but the UK press, which of course they own and run themselves, it's slightly better quality. I think the books come out a bit nicer than from Amazon. But the Amazon paperbacks are also available all over, so you might find that easier. And of course, it gets printed and sent straight to you. But the ones from my store also get printed and sent straight to you, but you got to pay for shipping, I'm afraid. So it's a different kind of experience. I hope to offer special editions, signed copies, and so on. And you might be able to see on the shelf up there. There's quite a few kind of author copies and things that I've collected. I'm going to take some of those and sign them and ship those out. That might have to be UK, but I'll see. I think international shipping would be prohibitive for most people unless they really, really want a signed copy. Perhaps some people do book plates, I know, so you can send out a book plate which you can then stick in the book. So I might do that. It'll obviously be a cheaper option all around. Yeah, so big thank you to everybody involved in that, and big thank you to my coffee.com supporters who either send me a cup of coffee or a cup of tea, mug of tea, or whatever, either regularly every month, which is one option, or just as one-offs, which is fantastic. I was going to get a list up and do thank yous, but I'll do that another time because I don't have it in front of me. And I don't know that they'll be watching the videos. And I always send a thank you message anyway when people do a donation on there. I've actually changed the regular monthly option now, which, I mean, at the moment, there's only one person. There were others in the past. But one new option on the coffee website is that it's KO-FI. They call themselves Ko-fi, I think, but it's supposed to be like coffee, so let's pronounce it coffee. And I've changed it to a membership scheme because that's something they've done where you can pay and then you get slightly privileged access. So we'll see how that goes. I posted a snippet, the whole prologue, I think, of the work in progress that I'm on. So those people will have seen first draft of a book as it comes. And I thought I'd try and do that once a week, say, and put stuff up there. And perhaps we can go on to do different tiers. I'm not sure. I don't want to make it complicated. Membership of the site is free and always will be free, and stuff will go on there later on. But I'm not going to put snippets in that much more public place. in a first draft form, because I just don't think everybody would understand perhaps that was the first draft, and it can be confusing and so on. They might think, well, that's not very good. This guy has no idea what he's doing. So stuff will be a bit more polished before it goes on there. I'll keep putting photos. I usually do those every week as long as I have time. And that's all free, of course, at michaelcampling.com. There's, at least 500 people, I think, over there who've joined it. You don't get a newsletter or anything. You just join, and it means you can write comments. And very few people do, but it's nice when they do. I see them straight away. Similarly, we have Facebook groups and so on that you can join. The best way to find out about those is via the newsletter, the Awkward Squad newsletter. And again, you can find that all at michaelcampling.com. So a big thank you to everybody in the Awkward Squad, Awkward for Life. We stay here doing things our own way, being awkward in that sense. And I hope you're enjoying the newsletter if you're getting that. People seem to. I'm trying to get back into a better routine. There was a little stretch when I was very busy kind of writing things and getting things ready, and it was coming out about once a month, but normally it's a couple of times a month. That's kind of my aim. Don't always make it, but that's kind of my aim. I think that's reasonable enough without pestering people and without taking me away from either writing too much. So a reasonable balance, I think. Okay. Seem to have rabbited on for ages. I guess I better do these more often than I can keep them shorter. All right. In the meantime, thanks for your support and encouragement and comments and shares and likes and all that stuff. And thank you for reading the books and reviews. Wonderful, wonderful. Really appreciate one of those mugs of tea. Huge thank you. So look after yourselves. Happy reading. Take care. And I will try and talk to you again soon. Bye.